Can one night truly change your entire life? We've all heard the stories, those accidental moments, unexpected sparks, nights that weren't supposed to mean anything, until they did. But what if a fleeting encounter could quietly become the beginning of something real, something deep, something that stays with you long after the night ends? Today, we're exploring one of the most fascinating dynamics in modern love: how a single, unexpected moment can evolve into a forever connection. And trust me, by the end of this episode, you might start questioning every so-called coincidence you've ever experienced. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe if you love content that helps you understand the psychology of attraction, connection, and love. The truth is, most of us don't expect love to arrive unplanned. We think a serious relationship starts with certainty, with intentions, with timing that makes sense. But real life rarely follows a script. Sometimes love arrives in the middle of chaos, in a moment when you feel exhausted, distracted, or completely uninterested in romance. And maybe that's exactly why certain connections hit differently, because you meet as your unfiltered self, without pressure or expectation. Imagine this. You meet someone on a night when you were supposed to keep things simple. No plans, no intentions, no emotional attachments. Maybe you were out with friends, maybe traveling, maybe simply trying to distract yourself from life. And then someone appears. Someone who makes you pause without knowing why. Not because they're perfect, but because the energy between you feels unexpectedly natural, effortless, familiar in a way you can't logically explain. What's interesting is that the real story doesn't start during the encounter itself. It starts afterward. It's what happens the next day. The moment you wake up and think about them without meaning to. The unexpected message they send. The small tug inside your chest that whispers, "Wait, why does this feel different?" That tiny spark of curiosity is often the first sign that a one-night moment might not be just a moment. Because when a connection has depth, it doesn't fade, it lingers. It grows in the quiet spaces between the memories. Something inside you wants to understand this person beyond the surface. You replay small details, the tone of their voice, the things they said without thinking, the way they looked at you like they already knew you. These details begin to feel significant, even if you don't fully understand why. And then comes the subtle shift. You start wanting more than the memory. You want the person. You want the conversations, the laughter, the softness, the authenticity. You want to know who they are on an ordinary day, not just on a night filled with atmosphere and adrenaline. That desire for depth is one of the clearest signs that something real is unfolding. Of course, not every one-night connection becomes love. But the ones that do all share a pattern. Communication doesn't fade. It becomes more intentional. The attraction grows beyond the physical and slowly becomes emotional. You feel unexpectedly safe opening up. And the temporary person slowly becomes someone you look forward to hearing from, someone who feels like comfort, someone who begins to matter. What makes spontaneous connections so powerful is their honesty. You weren't trying to impress each other. You weren't trying to plan a future. You weren't performing. You were simply being. And sometimes, that raw authenticity builds a stronger foundation than months of forced dating ever could. So how does one night turn into forever? It happens through small choices, choosing to talk again, choosing to meet again, choosing to be curious instead of cautious, choosing to follow the feeling instead of shutting it down. It's not fate doing all the work. It's two people gradually leaning into a connection that feels real, even if it wasn't planned. Many people underestimate how often unexpected love becomes lasting love. When something begins without pressure, expectations, or strategy, it often reveals who you truly are. It shows what your heart responds to when your mind isn't overthinking everything. And that sincerity creates a foundation strong enough to grow into something serious, meaningful, and deeply emotional. So if you've ever had a moment you can't forget, if someone you met briefly still crosses your mind from time to time, don't dismiss it. Sometimes our hearts recognize something long before we consciously understand it, and sometimes the moments we think are temporary become the turning points of our lives. Thank you for watching. If this episode made you reflect on your own unexpected connections, or the love story you hope to experience, remember to subscribe to Decode Love. New insights are coming every week, and you won't want to miss what's next. Sometimes forever begins in the most surprising places.